Introducing the Paddy Power World Darts Championship.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Online Darts Fallout Bar as we conclude day 8 of the 2026 Paddy Power World Darts Championships. And in the words of Sir Harvey Price, what a day. I am Dan Simpson, joining you from up here in Teesside. To my right, the Welsh correspondent, Carwyn Evans. And if Wales wasn't exotic enough for you, we are joined by, all the way from across the pond, Dave Connolly. Gentlemen, how are we this evening?
Oh, fantastic. As in, what a day of darts. It feels like the tournament has just exploded today, and results nobody was expecting. And some all right performances in the mix as well.
Yeah, I was on day 5 when we were maybe proclaiming that to be the best day of the tournament, and I think today may have topped that. So plenty to talk about, and yeah, I mean, if you're proclaimed to be a darts fan and today didn't get you up for it, I think you have to maybe look in the mirror, because it was as good as it could get today.
Yeah, I think there's a phrase I use every now and again where I just say, you know, if you haven't enjoyed that, then perhaps darts isn't the sport for you. Yeah. And that's, you know, maybe you need to go and find something else. But yeah, what a fantastic day. I thought it would be, but the chat room, the numbers in the views, we're already absolutely rocking tonight, because it's been a cracking day for darts. It's been absolutely superb action, and I think we did get that. It was quite refreshing, because I think every World Championships we get that day where all of a sudden it's been quite procedural, and sometimes it comes early and sometimes it comes late, where it's a bit procedural and everything sort of happens. And we've said it a few times on the show with both of you in the days preceding, where it's sort of gone as we expected. And this is, you know, it was a nice game and we enjoyed it, but it went how we thought. Today, we got everything today. We got entertained, we got walk-ons, we got brilliant interviews, we got absolutely superb action. Chat room's packed, as I said. If you're in the chat room, folks, don't forget, we're going to talk about all of today's action, but after that, we're going to talk about some predictions for tomorrow. Make sure you are subscribed to the channel, because if you are subscribed, it allows you to take part in the banter and crack and observations of the day's action, but then also getting your predictions in later in the show as well. We're going to do what we normally do here on the Fallout Bar. We're going to break down the action as it happened in order. So we are going to start the day up in the northeast of England with a northeast darts player, and once again, like it's on the up for my guys up here in the northeast of England. And Callan Ryd's a player that's been, I'm going to say, a little bit shaky in recent times. But Carwyn, I think it was quite refreshing for fans of Callan Ryd's, just seeing almost and we'll come to wild performances, but it was just sort of professional, got the job done, did what he needed to do, never looked shaky or hesitant, did he?
No, exactly. And I've said it a few times this week, where certain players just need that sort of straightforward game in the first round just to build their confidence up and get them into the tournament. And it feels like Ryd's needed that, as in it was just what he needed. I don't want to say an easy draw, because I don't think there are many easy draws as we've seen so far in this tournament. But it was a draw that favoured him, and it was a draw he'd have been confident of getting a comfortable big win. And yeah, of course, if he's got aspirations of going deep, he'll have to improve. But I think the first round, as we've seen with a lot of players, just get through it and you know your game's there. But yeah, it was just straightforward enough. But he did what he had to do as well.
Yeah, Dave. For me, it had a lot of the, and we. I feel like we've seen this game several times throughout the tournament, which was an established PDC pro with a bit of pedigree, sort of against a qualifier, and I, Patrick Kovacs is a great player, but it's sort of, again, and I said we didn't get this from today, but it just went the way it should have done, didn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, and the two kind of pressure points that I noticed right away, the second set, after going down 1-0, Patrick got a break to after he was broken, and you're like, okay, he can work with that. This is something that, is a bit of a pressure point for Cowan. He might feel a little under attack after not getting broken in the first set, and then Cowan just broke him right back and took the second set. Same thing happened in the third. Right out of the gates, Patrick got a break, and then Cowan broke him right back. And so anytime the door was slightly opening for Patrick to maybe make it a match and not get whitewashed, Cowan was, like you said, he was just professional. He did what someone in the PDC is going to do, and just short memory and get right back into the red bit and take out his doubles, and wasn't really too much drama other than those breaks where he answered right back.
Yeah, it's good, I think, that you mentioned that. So Dave mentioned in the chat room there, Ridge didn't play that well, but it's a settler. But where I think he settled, like one of the things that I think as a negative, I'm a big Callum Ridge fan because he's from up my end, and he's a local boy to me, and I always keep my eye on the local guys. But one of the things that I think Callum struggled with is when he has, when he's been broken in a game, and perhaps when he's been broken against a player that, on paper isn't up to his standard. We've seen a level of frustration come out. We've seen a lot of frustration come out of him. And I think that where the real step forward was in this game, it wasn't averaging 104 and it wasn't, flying through and looking really impressive, but it was that mental side of being broken and not getting frustrated and not getting his head down and just getting back to the task. And I think that was really important for him because it's been missing from his game a little bit, hasn't it?
Definitely. And I think you should treat this World Championship as the start of next season, because 2025 hasn't been a great year for Ids, as in he's battled himself, he's battled the board, he's battled everything in darts. But this almost gives him a fresh start now. And if he can, I don't know, last 16 quarterfinal, then it's just the perfect stepping stone to go into next year full of confidence. And I think that is a big thing for Ids, not beating himself up, because you will be broken. It's the way dart is played. Even if you hit 15 darts, your opponent can go out in 12. As in, so it's just the nature of the sport. Sometimes things don't go to plan, but it's how you react to those things. And I think, as they've alluded to there, the fact that he broke him straight back showed that he was in a good frame of mind to just get on with the game. Ignore what's happened; it's gone. Can't change it. But let's correct it in the future.
Yeah, I think I look back to, I think it was 2021, I think, off the top of my head, where I went to, so I made the pilgrimage to Blackpool to the match play, and because he was, and when I watched the quarterfinal, and I thought, like, he's going to kick on and be like a real top player, and I think the talent is there. I think with him, a lot of it is mindset, isn't it? I think it's a lot of it's mindset, and if he can overcome that, like, he does have the talent to be a really elite player. He's a superb dart player. He just needs to find a way to transfer that talent and combine it with a mindset as well.
If I remember correctly, was he not, like, unquestionably the best performing player at Worlds up to, like, the quarterfinal last year? Like, he was just he was unbelievable. And as someone who's newer to darts, I hadn't seen a ton of him up to that point, and I was just waiting. I'm like, oh man, 2025 could be his year. And I find it fascinating. You see a player like Scott Williams, like, he's a very, very big showman. You can understand why he gets up for Worlds, like why this is something that he is most successful in. It's the biggest stage. With Cowan, he's not quite that kind of showman player. So I'm just fascinated why he finds some of his best stuff on this stage when 2025 wasn't, you didn't see much of him. He wasn't doing much, even on the floor.
Yeah,
I think it's also important to remember he's only 27.
That's a big part.
And it just feels like he's been around for so much longer than to be 27. So I think he's got plenty of time on his side. And if this is the blip he has in his career, then it could go on to a very good career from here on in. But yes, opening game, it's a winner, and you move on.
Yeah, it's funny about his age. I was just having a quick look there when you mentioned his age, and I was flicking around with different screens on, and I look back to thinking his peak. Like where I thought like it was that quarterfinal run to the match play that was like he played so good. The match play is such a tough tournament, but it was the year after that he made the semi-finals of the World Youth. And you think, oh, actually, he was like even when he did that, he was still such a young player and so new. But yeah, I was really impressed today, and we'll see what comes next for Cal. And Dave, you mentioned a moment ago about showman, and that drags us into game number 2 today. And I don't know if showman is a big enough word for what we saw today for the arrival at the Alexandra Palace of Motomu Sakai. And everything about this was everything that I think lots of people are starting to love about. Darts is attracting an awful lot of new fans, not just boring people like me that have hung around for years, looking at averages and looking at stats, but people who want a show. They want a story and they want to be entertained. And Dave, this story started today with the moment that John McDonald took that microphone up to his lips and started to announce Sakai to the stage. He was off and running, wasn't he, from that point?
It was unbelievable, and it became this thing that you see a lot of times with these qualifiers. Maybe this is their only stage they get on all year. You're like, okay, he, had his fun, like he's dancing around, like time to get spanked on the board by, someone like Thibault, who we've seen play really well. And it was the complete opposite. It was such a good performance. And I think this is a match you can point to. We had other qualifiers in this tournament with upsets, and a lot of them are like missing match darts. Like it's 3-2. It's very close. It's a lot of times in, overtime or extra time. And with Sakai's performance, it makes you realize that these qualifiers, these international qualifiers, they're not trying to fill quotas anymore. The PDC isn't just trying to put them in so that they can call it the World Darts Championship. These guys belong here. He averaged 87. I mean, that's beating a fair amount of the field in the first round. That's really good. And he hit a lot of big darts, and he just never let Tricol get into the match. It was an awesome performance.
Yeah, I think Tricol, Carwin, you could argue that he underperformed. But also, he's another player that, hasn't had the greatest of year, has held on to his tour card, but, he's maybe, he's 2 decent pro tours away from, being in the Rob Owen situation, isn't he? He's middling to, or maybe worse than middling over the course of the year. And I think what we've saw here, or have we seen, in one game, the bridging of the gap, and I'm not talking about dancing and entertainment, because that was superb, but have we started to bridge the gap between the top of the Asian tour and the bottom of the pro tour? And is that gap becoming closer, do you think?
Yes, it is getting closer, but at the same time, I feel like bottom of the pro tour can probably raise their game to a 95, 96, where is that Asian, are those numbers there at the moment? But funnily enough, Tricol played exactly as I expected him to play, which is why I actually, bit of showmanship here now, predicted a Sakai win on the fallout bar last night, because I had a feeling if Sakai won the first set, Tricol's head would go and he'd bomb it out in the doubles. Lo and behold, the only thing I got wrong was I actually thought Tricol would win a couple of sets. But unfortunately, this is why Tricol is in danger of getting mixed up in that keeping a tour card, not keeping a tour card, because when he gets put under a bit of pressure, he just blows it and he cannot come back. And in set play, once that first break goes off, you should be coming back then with a sort of fresh mindset let's go again. It's only one set. We can win it back. But he just seemed to dig himself into a deeper and a deeper hole. And I don't want to take away from Sakai because I thought he was well worth his comfortable win. But I fear for Tricol next year unless he turns something around very, very quickly.
Yeah, well, we did, some the rough maths that we've been doing in terms of the tour card and the calculations as to what we think is going to keep on next year, and I think we almost pitched 100 grand as the magic number. Like that's where we think that the tour card retention is going to be, and the 2025 earnings for Thibaut Tricol were, and it's funny how it's weird. He's earned 49, so. What it tells us is if he continues on the same trajectory he's on, is he's going to be right in the mix. He's perhaps slightly below the mix when it comes to this time next year. And don't forget that a lot of that involves qualifying for these tournaments. He needs to make sure that he's there and make sure that he's in the mix. And before we come to some of the entertainment that was given to us by Mr. Sakai today, we do have a bit of an interview. Phil Bars, the hardest working man in darts, has been busy at the Alexandra Palace all day interviewing today's winners. So we've got a clip from Sakai. Don't forget, folks, what we play you on the show today is just a small excerpt from today's interviews. All of the interviews from today's winners are or will be after this show available in full on the Online Darts YouTube channel. So make sure you check them out. But for now, let's have a little listen to this one.
もうダンスについてちょっと言ってください。もうダンスすればするほどもっと上達していたような気がします。
ダンスすればするほどだけダーツが入るんです。
I believe that as the more I dance, the more my darts fly well. いつもこのようにちょっとクレイジーなキャラクターでしたか
？My crazy.
That means yes.
I think it's, darts aside, like, because he played, he did everything he needed to do to win. But I do think this, and we got a bit of it today, and we got quite a lot of it today because we had a few different things going on across a few games. But this was just what I think this tournament's been missing, wasn't it? Was just something that, and we were quite lucky, and the timing was quite good because that was a bit of an A-list crowds today. We had some top football players. We had some big movie stars in the audience today. And, the A-list have perhaps come home for Christmas and decided to take a visit to the darts while they were on. But he sort of got the day, he got the crowd, he got everybody sort of up to here, didn't he? It was so good.
Yeah, and he seems like one of those players where he gets fueled by his entertainment, like his showmanism. He was saying that the more he dances, the more he does that, the better he feels, the better he plays. So it's not, I think sometimes players can get into this idea of they have to be an entertainer, they have to be showmen so that they can get on the big cards, so they can play at night. When you can kind of tell it's not really who they are, they're kind of forcing it. And it doesn't, he seems genuine and it showed. I mean, he easily could have gone up there, done all that goofy stuff and gotten, steamrolled. And he did the opposite. He completely dominated. And it was really fun to see that kind of coincide the way that it did. He was an entertainer, and then he put his darts to the test and showed what he was made of.
The level of physicality, Carwin, is so rare because we've seen players. Peter Wright, for example, an entertainer. He has the big walk on, and he does the dance, and he's up and down the stage. But then, once that game starts, and he's at the hockey, it's like steady, and he doesn't have a dance between sets, and he doesn't go, because it's a lot of it is about bringing the adrenaline down, bringing the heart rate down, keeping everything as steady as possible so that action can just remain perfect. It's a very rare player, isn't it, that can sort of have such clearly peaks and troughs in adrenaline to be able to channel that adrenaline into a throw, because most players would never be able to sort of deal with that level of physicality and adrenaline and then throw with channeling it. They'd have to recover from it, wouldn't they?
Oh yeah, definitely, and it'll be interesting to see if he brings the same energy throughout the game in the next round. Obviously, first game on the stage, big excitement. Potentially the only time he ever steps on the Ali Pali stage. We don't know, but I hope he does bring it because, as they've mentioned, in some entertainers, you feel like it's forced. I'm not certain, but I'm 95% certain that was Sakai in a nutshell, and it's only just the beginning. And the further he goes, I think the worse not the worse he'll get. That's the wrong term for it. But the more animation we'll see from him, and he's just loving his time up there. As in, I think that's how you should play that. As in, because if you're enjoying it, then they fly well. As his interpreter told Phil in the interview.
Yeah, I genuinely think that there are a few things that draw the crowd in better than seeing players enjoying being there. It's a very human thing when you can see someone having a good time and you're trying to support or enjoy it. It's just natural to get dragged along. Tough match in the next round with him and Andreas Harrison, but I think it's a really intriguing one. It's going to be some second round. So moving on to game number 3 this afternoon and moving back to the northeast of England. And what a day it was for the northeast of England, because we had 2 players playing and they didn't drop a set between them. And Carwyn, I think Ryan Joyce was not far away from his A game. What we know Ryan Joyce for is being a decent scorer, being very good on the outer ring, which is what we got today. And I think that we just didn't see the best of Owen Bates either. The Dublin was a bit of a trouble for Owen Bates, and he didn't threaten Ryan to make him sweat, did he?
No, not at all. And you know what? I think even if Owen had brought a better game to that stage today, I don't think he touches Joyce. As in, Joyce just seems to get into this mindset for every game where I'll average 95, I'll hit 60% of my doubles. And if you do that, you're hard to beat. And he reminds me of sort of an Andy Hamilton type player when he was knocking sort of top 4 in the Premier League, as in when he was just very, very hard to beat. And yeah, I think this could be a big world championship for Ryan Joyce, just because I think he's in that I don't want to call it the favourable sort of section, but he's in a section where he could do some damage. Yes, he'll probably have to face Bunting and maybe Price at some point, but yeah, he'll be very happy with that. As in, as you say, didn't drop a set. Probably annoyed to drop a leg because I think there was such a gulf in class between both of them today. But yeah, Joyce marches on, and I expect the second round game to be pretty much carbon copy of what we saw today. Yeah,
Dave, I think we saw a good performance from Ryan. Ryan, seasoned professional. He's made multiple semi-finals, quarterfinals on the telly. Maybe not. He's maybe not the box office big personality player that the media might love, but he gets the job done fairly regularly. Owen Bates, I know he's only young, he's only 23. He's sort of fairly new still to the PDC scene, but I think he came through with an awful lot of promise. When he came through the youth system, there was an awful lot of talk about him, and he's had a couple of years now playing on the tour. The whole of this year playing on the Pro Tour. We've seen the best we've seen from him. We've seen him make a 4th round once. We've seen him sort of once get past a board final, and I think it's a case of and maybe it's unfair, or is it unfair? Is the question to say that he's not fulfilling his potential, because there is real talent there, but we're right across the board, on the floor, on the stage, we're not seeing it translate, are we?
No, he didn't. He never looked comfortable for a single dart on the stage today. I don't know if he's just not quite ready. If he needs to take a step back from the big stage, because the talent's there. I mean, it's the only way you get on the stage anymore. Even if you're a qualifier, you have to have the talent to get there. And then what you do when you get on there is, anything can happen for anyone. But it just wasn't quite there. And the gap. This is one of the bigger gaps I feel like we've seen between two players in the first round. It just never really looked close. I mean, the gap in the average, I believe, was bigger than 10. Just on Ryan Joyce, I know I mentioned it to you guys earlier today. Last year at Worlds, probably gave Littler one of the closest scares in a longer format we've seen in his entire career, which was an incredible match. When he's scoring, when Ryan Joyce is scoring, he's unbelievable to watch. He's so much fun to watch. When he can get to his 32 or his 16 and just hit that side of the board, it's unbelievable. But going in kind of bigger picture on him, 2024, he only went to 7 of 13 Euro Tours. This past year, he went to 12 of 14. One of them he didn't qualify for. Now that he is going into 2026 and he's not defending a lot on the Euro Tour, he's gotten over his fear of flying, at least he says, and he's going to probably go to a lot more. He made a final, a semifinal, and a quarterfinal earlier in the year on the Euro Tour. Deep run here and then replicates that on the Euro Tour. I don't know how he doesn't make top 16. He's that good. He has such an established floor because he's top 3 in the world in finishing. It's unbelievable. Yeah, he could go deep. I wholeheartedly agree with Carwin.
I think what's impressive as well is a lot of other players we've seen this tournament so far, when their opponent has been struggling and hasn't been averaging very well. We saw it today. They've been dragged into a game they don't need to drag into.
Yep.
Joyce's levels never dropped. He maintained his standard and got the job done. And I think as it stands, he's in the provisional places for the Masters. Obviously, there's a lot of darts to be played between now and the first week of January. But to sort of echo what Dave said, it looks like it could be a big year for Ryan Joyce next year.
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree. I've always said, he's not the media's idea of the most marketable player, nor is he probably the PDC's. But in terms of just a player that has a real talent and can get the job done. And the thing with Ryan Joyce is what you very, very, very rarely see from him is a bad game. If you see him get beat, it's normally because somebody else has played very well. That is generally, and if you look back, and even when you look, at the record and in the tournaments where he's gone out early, you look at the game where he's gone out, and you find out, he's bumped into someone who's turned up and averaged 101, and they've done 50% on their doubles, and he's played all right. I just think the difference between the issue we see a lot of players bumping into is the variance between the top and bottom ends of their game is so wide that they're wide, and we'll come to that in the next game. But they can be caught. Whereas Ryan Joyce, often the variance is so little between the top and bottom of what he tends to produce that you've just got to. If you turn up and outplay him, you'll get him, because if you can be a better player than him. But if you can't, then he's going to do you, and he's a very, very dangerous player. Very dangerous.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's just those guys who are just. Damon Hedda is one of those players. I don't know if he's ever averaged below, I think it's 80 or 85 in the PDC. Just these guys who are so consistent on their doubling. It's just not going to happen. And then you get the wide range, Chris Dobie, Dirk van Dijvenbode, like these guys who are power scorers. But then if they have a match where they're 23% on their doubles, it's just going to plummet their. Yeah. And Brian is he's just so, like you said, the band of outcomes for him is so tight, and it means he's never going to get upset. But the only time he's going to beat someone in the top 8, top 12, top 16 is going to be when they, have a big game.
They've got to drop down. Yeah.
Exactly. And then he's maybe in a coin flip against them. So
yeah, and it's almost timing. Yeah. He has to catch someone on a rough day, and but then if you don't play your best against him, he'll catch you. He'll do you.
That was what almost happened with Littler. He was far from his best in last year's Worlds and nearly cost him. I think if he played anyone else, he probably would have cruised.
Well, I'm going to take. I'm quite enjoying you. So I've got some great lines from you, Dave, tonight to move on to the next game, and I'm just going to pull out far from his best there because I mean, last year the Grand Prix, this coming out party of the major TV title of Mike De Decker, and it almost seemed, and there was after that, there was I'm going to say a bit of a strop that he wasn't picked for the Premier League, that he felt he should have been. He'd won a major title. The year up until now, we've seen repeated, first round out at the Masters, first round at the European Championships, first round at the Players' Championships, second at the Match Play, second at the Grand Prix. It's a really underwhelming year, but I think this just puts the tin hat on it, Dave. And with full credit to David Munywa, Mike De Decker should have had this done 3-0 comfortably. It shouldn't have been competitive, should it?
No. I again, full credit to David, like you said, he got it done when he had to, and he stuck around and he made De Decker pay for his mistakes. I can't get over that first set from Mike looked so strong. And after Munya did his walk on and his beautiful story, and if we're being honest, he's probably the 128th best player in this field. It was fun. It was fun. I was enjoying it. And then De Decker just kind of like you came crashing back down to reality when De Decker had that first set. And I almost I stopped, I'm working during the day here when this is going on. I'm doing my job. Yeah. It was early enough. You guys still work too, but I was doing my job. I'm not. And then I'm looking over and I'm like, Mike, what are you doing? What are we doing here? Finish things off. And he let him, these guys are good enough. Like we're saying, even the worst player in the field, if you slip up and let them into the match, they're going to take it. They're going to start hitting stuff. And then the rope's going to, it's going to run out and this is what happens. So yeah, I don't know if it's a head thing for Mike. I don't know if he got complacent after winning a major. I don't want to say that's it, but I don't know what else to point at because 2025, I mean, it was already relatively underwhelming for him. This is whipped cream on crack. This is so bad. He's been an absolute mess, and I hope this doesn't make things worse for him, but I don't know how it wouldn't. He needs to put him down for a while.
Yeah, Carwin, is it, am I being sort of, overly harsh in saying, or even asking the question, he's where is he on? He's in the order of merit, 17, 18, somewhere around there. 17th from the order of merit. So, he's sat just outside the top 16. Now, that is a challenge when we talk about the protection that the top 16 get. And, going out of the Worlds early means he may be pegged back and, knocked a few spaces down there. So he's going to have to work a little bit harder to qualify for things. But, are you worried about Mike De Decker, right? And his ability to really establish himself as in the space of 12 months, we've gone from, a player that was sort of stamping his feet saying, I should be in the Premier League. I should be among the elite, the top 8 of the sport, to now a player that we're sort of thinking, I wonder if he can establish himself or get into the top 16. And there's big question marks there now, isn't there?
Oh, huge. And at the moment, I don't think he can get into the top 16. It seems, I hope he's still not reeling with a chip off his shoulder that he wasn't in the Premier League, because it's been a year now. You just get over it, as in you're faced in fate, c'est la vie, as in, unfortunately, they've got an agenda, and at the moment, you don't fit that agenda, so there's nothing you can do about it. And let's be honest, yes, it's good being in the Premier League, but it doesn't help your rankings. It's a travelling circus. It's a glorified exhibition, whatever you want to call it. It isn't what keeps you climbing those rankings. And I feel like 2026 is a massive year for him, because if things go wrong, he will be flying down the rankings, and top 32 may be a light at the end of the tunnel if he doesn't stop this catastrophic run that he's on. As in, the game is there, and I think this afternoon just showed the contrast between mentality of him and Ryan Joyce, in that Ryan Joyce never got dragged into a game that that was there to be lost. Where Mike De Decker, from what I think he was 100 points from winning 3-0, 10 points from winning 3-1, and then goes out. As in, no disrespect to David Munya, but it's a game he should never have won. As in, I think pretty much everybody in the chat room and on the Fallout bar last night were debating whether to give the Kenyan a leg or two, or maybe none. The fact that he's won more legs than Mike De Decker shows the shambolic performance of the Belgian, really. And you've got to look as well now. Think sort of, how did he win that major? Because since then,
because it's been crap before and after.
Yeah,
Hasn't it?
it's doubling. He can't buy doubles; they don't hit them. So, yeah, he needs to realize quickly that winning a major doesn't give you special treatment, and players aren't scared of you anymore.
But before we come on, because we have got an interview. Well, we've got a clip from the David Munya interview. It's actually, I think it's the longest clip. It is, folks. So look forward to this. It's the longest clip that we've had on the Fallout bar for the World Championship so far. So settle in for when we play that one. That is going to be. But before that, just an interesting fact, because Belgium has been a real up-and-coming country in the world of darts. We've seen big World Cup runs. We've seen big players. We've seen Belgians in the Premier League. There were 5 Belgians that came to Alexandra Palace this year, and all 5 of them are out in the first round. They're all gone. It's a rough time. And when you look across the board, you look at those 5 and you look at, Mike De Decker looks to be in big trouble. Dimitri van den Berg looks to be in big trouble. Kim Huybrechts, is there a way back from him? Andy Bartons hasn't lived up to you start to rattle through and you start to think, I hope the youth system's decent, because I hope the academies are doing all right, because the lads they've got there at the minute, it's a panic, because across the board, we can't see. It's difficult to predict another decent World Cup run from any combination of those two, isn't it?
Yeah, it feels like their football national team, doesn't it? A little bit like the golden generation is kind of
it's crumbled.
And none of like you said, I mean, none of these guys are. Is Mike, I believe, the youngest of all of them, or maybe Dimmy, but both of them are just. That was probably still the worst performance of the opening round. And De Decker, I don't know. I know he's posted a lot on Instagram. He's taken time off, and I don't know if that major got into his head. And I remember the beginning of the year, the first Euro Tour event was in Belgium, and he got to the final. He beat Luke Humphreys. He was in his own country, but he almost took down Littler in the final. And you were like, all right, he's building. And then the rest of the year has just not gone his way. And you hope to see him come back in January and just make things, clean slate and maybe get back to the way we know he can play. But I don't see how this doesn't, kind of fall into the next year.
Right, so let's go with this. Let's have a little listen to see what David made of it when he spoke to Phil Bars straight after his win today.
I think it is affecting me positively and negatively, because when I'm not doing my best, I'm like, I'm letting my fans down. But also it's encouraging me. So it's up to when now do I need to follow the rhythm. When fans are cheering to you and then you've let them down, it's 2 set down. Like, you guys have accepted we have lost. And they're like, okay, you are alone. Come on, do it. Yeah, so that's amazing for me to come back from 2 set down to victory.
When you were 2 sets down, did you believe you could come back? Mike De Decker has won a PDC TV title. Did you believe you could do it?
Absolutely, 100%. I believed I can do it, because it is not done until it's done. So I had to just, if you can watch my moves. I had to come down to release my nerves, to try and do what I can do if there was There was no this noise, there was no this pressure. But actually, after winning my first set, I got, if I have won one, why not the second? And the third, yeah. Yeah, I've learned a lot from Phil Taylor. He's done much for that. And I've been listening to him. Also, I've been following what he's been doing. I think growing the sport up to this level is a great thing. And I hope I get a chance also to do the same in not only my country but also my area. If I can have few people who are inspired and want to be the same as me, we grow the sport and also we make life out of it. That's a great thing for me.
So the bit that I want to put, or the little bit that I want to pull from that before we move on to the evening session is, I genuinely think it's so important. I think, Dave, I want to sort of throw this over to you really, in that, you know, you're in America. Darts is a growing sport in America, and when, you know, how important is it for the growth of darts on a continent to see somebody from, you know, not just to see a sport and be entertained by it, but to see a person that they can relate to that's from a town or a city like them from their country, playing on that stage among the, you know, the huge names of the sport. Like, how important is that for the development of darts in a particular part of the world?
It's so massive. I'm, you know, I went to the U.S. Masters back in June, and I wasn't there night one. But probably one of the weirdest results of the entire year in any PDC event was Danny Lauby whitewashing Rob Cross. And that was just one of those where you just, yeah, I don't even really watch a lot of Danny Lauby. I don't like seek him out when he's playing in floor tournaments when I'm watching, you know, the Players Championship. But when you see that just, he's from like Kansas City. He's from so far away from where I live. I'm in Connecticut, but still just, it's this all encompassing someone who sounds like me, someone who is from my country is doing this. I mean, Adam Savada winning and then talking about not having a hotel room. And I'm like, this is the first guy I've heard all day that doesn't have, you know, a British or Asian or African accent. So yeah, it means so much. And I can only imagine, especially because US and Canadian, there's I think like 6 or 7 of them in this field. And I believe, is Munya the only African in the field?
Yes, this year,
yeah. So I mean, I can't imagine, not only just for Kenya, what it means for the entire continent to see someone. I mean, it's unbelievable, and it will only grow the game more. And I think that's the whole point of having these qualifiers in, is you see it happen, it goes everywhere, and now there's going to be, you know, 100 other David Munyas in across Africa who are going to try to do the same. And
now, Cowan, I suppose the continent of Africa is starting to understand what it would be like for Wales when Rob Owen retains his tour card, aren't they?
Well, this is it. This is exactly it. As in, there'll be parties across Wales once it's confirmed. But the problem is now, in Sakai and Munya, you've got 2 players who'll have the crowd behind them. They're only 3 wins away of putting Rob Owen's tour card in jeopardy. Yeah, so let's not get too carried away with them yet. As in, great results. Hopefully they don't
keep our priorities.
Exactly. But no, as in, just it's amazing to see. And I know Devon Peterson did a lot for Dart in Africa, and he really got it off the ground. But for them now to get another player through, and maybe play from a different country within Africa through the next round, it's just huge. It shows that when you lay foundations for something to happen, it can grow, and long may it continue across the world, if you ask me.
Good stuff. Right. That brings the afternoon session to a close. And then we moved on to the evening, which certainly did not disappoint in terms of action one bit. Opening game this evening. And I think we're back here again, aren't we? Where we've got, and the seeding system delivers us a lot of this. Where we've got an established professional who has had one of the best years. He has looked so good, and he just nearly got caught, didn't he, Cowan? Jermaine Watamina against Dominic Groylich. And he's been so good, Watamina, this year. And he was picked by so many people to upset some of the big boys. And he just nearly got caught, didn't he?
Yeah, and I think that's the problem, is that he knows he's probably coming into the Worlds in the best form he's ever come into the Worlds, off the back of probably one of the best years he's had as a professional. And I just felt like he almost let that get to him, as opposed to just playing his darts and just getting this game done and dusted in 30, 40 minutes and look on to the bigger challenges to come. But he'll be a relieved man, but hopefully this settles him down now and just makes him realize, okay, let's not think last 16 quarterfinal, let's think round 2, and then let's see where we are at the end of that game. Because I think had he lost this evening, it would have been a real kick in the teeth for him, because as you say, he's had such a good year on tour. First round exit here would have been just such a way to finish the year.
Yeah, I think so. Bob's made a comment in the chat room there. He didn't know quite how to celebrate because he was so relieved, and he didn't. I'm not so much sure he totally got away with one, but Dave. So Dominic Groylich, he's obviously first year as a tour card holder. He's had a sort of an all right year on tour. Made a final of a pro tour event, but the rest of the year it's sort of been okay. He will need to have a slightly better year next year if he's going to hold on that card. Where he's done, I think he's done 44 grand this year. We think the sweet spot's going to be around 100, so he's got to step on. But was it just a case, do you think, for him that, because we'll talk about Jermaine, in the next round, but for Dominic going out, was it just about experience? It's his first year on tour. He qualified for the tournament. There's a bit, there's a start. He got there, and then now it's just about, he's experienced that. He's taken it. What can I learn from that, and then bring it into next year where I've got to really work to keep this card?
Yeah, absolutely. And you saw when he was playing, there was a little bit of he would do his tap and he would get here, and that first start would really struggle to come out at times, but he was hitting the triple 20. And I know, dartitis is something he's mentioned in the past that he's dealt with. It didn't, from what we could see or from what I could see, it didn't seem like it put him off too much. Maybe on the doubles when, they're not quite doing the split cam and you can see him actually throwing, maybe that could have put him off a little bit. But my concern for Jermaine is I still don't know if I love where he's at mentally. I think that utter relief that he showed means he was really pent up throughout the match. And when things aren't going your way, which they're going to go your way less and less as you get deeper in the tournament. I don't know if he's aware of that. That's not, that we've seen him implode at times, or he'll give a very stoic handshake or just like storm off the stage. Just he has had issues in the past that we've seen where he's not been maybe at the best place mentally while playing. I remember, I'm trying to remember what set it was, but he missed the set dart and he fell straight down. He didn't leave his feet, but he slumped straight down. And I know players do that a lot. I just, out of what I've seen from him in 2025, I'm not thrilled with where he is mentally. And I'm just wondering if that's something that might rear its head later when he plays someone who's a little bit more up for the task, because I don't fancy him as much when he's a favorite. He's really good in that underdog role because he has that scoring ability, that finishing ability to keep up with anyone. But when he's a favorite, I think that might get to him just a little bit too much at times.
Agreed, 100%. So, game number 2. Fuck me if she could hit a double.
Called it.
And you know what? I think what? So I'll put my hands up and I'll say it wasn't what I expected, because what I didn't expect was, and regardless of the numbers, you can take the averages apart, but for the first 5 legs of this match, Fallon completely outplayed Dave Chisnell. She had darts to win every leg, and she should have been 2-0 up in sets comfortably without dropping a leg, and she was the first to a double consistently, and it was just those doubles, Dave, that killed it. And in the end, Chizzy got away with absolute murder because his performance was way subpar. I know he picked it up towards the end of the match, but in those early stages, playing against anybody else, he's 2 sets down and he's going to get blown away. He's never going to catch that back. But she just held the door open for him too many times, didn't she?
I don't know if he goes to bed tonight feeling better or worse after this match because the scoreline makes you think, oh, all right, he handled his business. But yeah, if you watched it, it was far from it. And I can't remember a 3-0 match or even maybe a 3-1 match in this tournament where you could easily make the case it should have gone maybe not 3-0 the other way, but 3-2, 3-1 the other way.
It should have been 2-0 up. Or
yeah,
100%
yeah,
should comfortably been 2-0 up.
She completely bottled it towards the end of legs, and that was frustrating to see. I think we all wanted to see a little bit of magic from Fallon, obviously Queen of the Palace. So yeah, I don't my thoughts on Chizzy have not changed from that match. I don't think anyone's really have. I can't see him making a deep run. I don't know who he is next, but it was not a very convincing performance despite the scoreline. I think it flatters him very much here.
Yeah, it's a tough one, isn't it, Cowan? Because I think a lot of and I don't know, is it the scoring phase of the game? I think is maybe where players don't feel the pressure. Yeah. Fallon Sherritt carries, and we know that she does. She carries a lot more pressure than let's be honest. 95% of players who are going to get on that stage because of the expectation, because of the way that the crowd will get involved in her games. And is that why the scoring looks fine and she gets to the end of the legs and then it's a real struggle, isn't it? And sometimes it's tough to watch because, once you've seen 3, 4, 5, 6 legs in a row where like she's first to the double and she's not first to the double like chancing it. She's first to the double with 3 in hand sometimes. And it's not getting over the line. It's a tough watch, isn't it?
Yeah, it felt like a tough watch for both players, really, as in Fallon on the doubling side of it, but Chisnell with his scoring, as in, I don't remember, as in 6-1-80s, 6-1-40s in 12 legs of darts, as in, and I know there's some, his action seems to be struggling, but the amount of, I know he's always had a loose start in him, but it just felt like every 2 or 3 throws, there was a single 1 or a single 5 in there, as in, with stats like that, as in, yeah, if Fallon hits, she missed 20 darts, if she misses half of those legs, so if she misses only 10 darts in the game, she wins it easily. It's just, she's gifted him the game, really, and I know at the end she did like a little jokey jokes with a table, and I don't know if there's something like that, as in, I don't know off the hockey, but just felt like something phased her going for the doubles because she's usually better than that, and I think she'll be disappointed with not taking more chances. Chisnell will be disappointed that he's played that badly. Chisnell will probably also be disappointed, thinking if I play like that again on telly, it'll be embarrassing. But
well, I'm going to cut. And I apologise for cutting you off just there because we've had a few people in the chat room mentioning that Chizzy is in the Sakai Harrison quarter, and he well may be, but he also has to now play Ricardo Petrescu in his next game, and I don't think he stands a bloody chance. Unless he can do something drastic, I think Pikachu just dispatches him, pretty quickly, because I think all of the things that Chizzy's currently struggling with are the things that Petrescu is particularly talented at and won't have a bit of a wobble on and let him in. But we do, folks, have another little clip. And Phil, like I said, has been a very busy boy this evening at Alexandra Palace, and we can hear a little bit from Chizzy. So let's hear what he had to say before we move on.
Like I said, I have been struggling for the last 9 months, 10 months, and I don't know why I just started struggling. But if I get that I was going to swear then. If I get that throw right, I'm going to be hard to beat.
Well, you took a couple of bits there, touching on the throw and the struggles. How do you stop this? Because obviously you're outside the top 16 now, and we've seen other players when they've dropped out of that, they can't stop the slide. So how does Dave Chisnell going about stopping this?
Roger will tell me to stop it. No, you don't know. You don't know what you're going to do up there. You're throwing darts. And when I'm throwing, I'm pulling it back past my ear. Sometimes, not all the time. And when I'm throwing straight on, and I'm not rushing the floor. But for some reason, I'm just going, and they go everywhere.
Well, it's interesting listening to you break that down. Obviously, you know you're doing it. How frustrating is it then that you can't stop it?
No, it's very frustrating. And the more you try to stop it, the worse it gets. But it's not all game. It's only part of it. So I'm just going to try and keep focused and keep it where I want my throw to be. No, it doesn't interest me all that. I'm just my own person. If it's not happening, it's not happening. But I know I'll get it back. I've got 100% belief in my own throw, and I know I'll get it back. It's just a blip.
I'm not convinced, me.
No, I think it's a bigger blip than he's letting on there. Yeah.
I think that the throw that he had, his action is so prone to a real breakdown that, you know, when we see an action breakdown, and we've bored people on some of these shows, you know, like breaking down when an action has gone from there to there. We've analysed that in the wrist. But when you're talking about there to here, like that's an action that's broken down. Like, and I genuinely don't know. I mean, and I know Phil asked, and I think Dave tried to. Well, he couldn't offer an answer as to how it comes back, other than offer, I think, a sort of belief that I hope, and I think it was hope rather than knowledge, that I hope it does. But it seems a long way from the chizzy throw that got him to the heights that we saw, isn't it?
I'm stunned at I'm not in his head. I don't see him practice. I don't want to, imply that I know anything. I'm stunned at how he's just like, he's almost saying it like it's beyond his control. I think that's maybe something you say if you have a few weeks, a month where you're a little off. He said earlier in that clip, it's been 9 to 10 months, which we've all seen. I believe he was world number 5 this time last year, or close to it at some point. And now he's tumbling bad. He should have lost today, and he knows that. I think he knows that. I don't understand this idea that he can't, either get to a psychiatrist if it's something mental, get with a coach, do something about the action, because this isn't one of those things where it's something super subtle. It's very visible when you watch him. It's bad. I mean, especially on the last start, he's like finishing over here. Like so I don't know. That concerns me that he's not concerned, I guess is the best way to put it. That was a little odd.
It certainly was. And like I say, I'm not filled with confidence for Dave's throw, both going forward in this tournament and into next year. So moving on to game 3 this evening. And this was a game I can't remember enjoying watching a game more this year, I think, than the first 3 sets of this game. The great Michael van Gerwen against Mitsuko Tatsunami. And again, Carwin, from the walk-on, from the moment John McDonald picked up his microphone, that entire building, and I genuinely believe the casual fan watching at home, the people sat in the pub where the darts is on in the background, it was one of those things and one of those games, that first set, where if you're just in the pub and the darts, it's one of those things, everyone's sat having a drink and the darts happens to be on in a television over in the corner. And then after about 10 minutes, you find everyone sort of just crowded around the television trying to watch this thing that's happening. And in the end, sort of sanity regained, didn't it? And normalness restored. But it took a while.
Yeah, normality resumed. It felt halfway through the second set that surely we can't. No, we've had enough upsets today. Surely not. Sort of all wondering. MVG can't lose first round. Surely. I know. Obviously, then he did raise his game. He wasn't great, but he'll probably say being tested was good for him, as in it meant he was focused and he did the right thing at the right time and pulled his socks up and just got on with it. But I think the one thing you've got to sort of say about the Asian players we've had in this tournament, they're loving the opportunity and the time on the big stage. We don't see much of them from year to year, but when it comes to the Worlds, they want to put on a show because they know it's their big chance to shine, and they feel like they want to put on a show because they've got the right to be there and they've earned the right to be there. And Tatsunami's average wasn't great, but again, it would have been high enough to have beaten Dedeker. It would have been high enough to win some other games. So I think. I actually think nerves may have got to him halfway through the second set, where he sort of realised, I'm potentially 4 legs away of knocking MVG out the World Championship, and I think he realised that and then went to pieces. But
as our good friend always says, you can't practice shitting yourself.
Exactly, as in playing against bot level 7 at home doesn't put you under that same pressure as MVG on Ali Pali does.
Quite right.
But I think it's another experience he should sort of build on it. I think is he 53, 54, so he's not a young puppy, but he's still young enough to compare to an Asian counterpart of a certain 71-year-old. But it was a test from MVG. He'll have to play 10 times better if he's going to win this title, but he got through a nervy test in the first round.
But Dave, we've been accused before on this channel of, let's say, from our vantage point here in the UK, looking when we look at and focus and talk about affiliate tours, we've been accused of looking west too much and focusing on the CDC. And we're big fans of the CDC and the guys that run that and the players that come from that. But we've seen performances now from players from the Asian tour. We've seen more, a couple of victories where we haven't seen victories. We've seen not only just impressive performances, but captivating performances that have carried the crowd along. It almost feels a little bit like this year is a bit of a breakout year for the Asian tour, and then the players that have come from it. And that is looking now as a market in which darts is going to keep growing, doesn't it?
Yeah. The Asian tour the Asian qualifiers have undoubtedly outperformed the North American qualifiers in this year's championships. It hasn't really been very close. Outside of Adam Savada, I would say all of the U.S. and North American qualifiers have underperformed. And Savada did it against another North American, who really underperformed for what we expect from him. I guess on MVG, this is just kind of this is going to be really harsh. This is just kind of his level now. Like 84 average from an Asian qualifier in the first round, that would have been over in 20 minutes a few years ago from MVG. This is just when your level is dropped a little bit, like it has for him, you're inviting trouble in matches like this. And I don't know if any of us truly thought that he was going to lose, but there was a real spot of bother in that second set when Tatsunami was up 2-0, up a set already. It was really looking dicey. And with what already happened in the final match of the afternoon session, everyone was dreaming of. We're like, of course it could happen. It just happened this afternoon. So, and including me, I was too. So, I'm worried that this is might just be his level now, which is really sad. I really want him to step his game up and meet the two Lukes, because we've seen it in tennis and other sports. 2 at the top is great, but it's just can be a little boring because it's just collision courts. Everything else feels like it's side stuff going on around the actual thing that's happening, which is just the 2 Lukes meeting in the final. Nothing else really matters. It's just like the appetizer for fun. When you get that third party involved, then anything can happen. There's all these different combos you can get in a final. The semis become interesting. And I'm just hoping MVG can do that, and it just doesn't. It's just felt like more of the same of what we've seen in 2025.
Yeah, I completely agree. And Cowan, I think, we've seen it in other sports. Tennis is a great example, Dave, where, you want more than 2 at the top. And I think sometimes where from a sport, because I think sport is, it's not just about the competition. It's also about the stories. You need the narrative and the story to go with it. And sometimes what you want, and we saw it in tennis, where you need to sort of, the old master needs to be one of those, 3 or 4 at the top. There's nothing better in tennis when you've got these 2 or 3 amazing players that are coming through and winning everything. But all of a sudden you've got Federer that just comes back and says, "Yeah, I'll do another year. I'll get another year. I'll do another year." And all of a sudden there's like serious competition, and we almost want that from that. I feel like that's almost Michael van Gerwen's, like, his destiny or what he should be, is he needs all these players. I mean, you take the Lukes, but then, add into that, the Josh Rocks and the Jan van Veens and, the people who we know are going to be the future of the sport. But you almost want that, the Obi-Wan Kenobi, that you want the old master to be able to still be around these players, don't we?
Yeah, and I think we will see that, and we will have that. I just don't know if MVG will be one of them. I think you
agree with Paul? Oh, see, I knew you've gone well.
Of course, he's going to go Welsh first.
You've got
Wade is another one. As in, I just feel like because Johnny hasn't won the Worlds, I can't put him up first. He comes a close second, but the likes of Wade, Gary Anderson. Yes, Wade hasn't won it, but he's been around as
he's of that level of stature.
He's won a major in 3 different decades, and it's having that. So I fear MVG's got a lot of work to do just to get into that category, because at the moment he's just coasting, as in it's only a matter of time until he's out the top 4. And I'd argue once he's out of the top 4, he does not make the Premier League as things stand, because I don't think he offers enough to warrant that place once he's out of the top 4.
Is he, if I could ask both of you quickly, is he top 10 right now? I don't think he is.
Nope.
No, I don't know.
No, not for me.
Better than him right now.
And I could list you 100 people that would insist he was, but I genuinely think that I think it's sort of hope.
It's clinging to name brand.
Yeah, 100%.
I think honestly, that's the only thing going for him at this tournament, is that he's got to hope people get scared. Yeah.
They still think that, like, where is Sir Alex?
Yeah.
I still think that it's I completely. I think that if you take a step back and you look at stats, you look at numbers, you look at averages, you look at performances, you look at tournament record, then it's a worry. And I think I think as you say, he's up against it going forward. Right, so we've got an interview. Phil got in. He's been in the back end. This show's going to be long tonight, folks. So there was another fucking match happened, and then we've got predictions to do. This is going to be long. I'm going to wrap it. I'm going to try and wrap it up. I'm going to get us through it as quick as we can. Right, but before that, Phil Bars has been speaking to Michael van Gerwen. Let's have a little listen to what Michael made of it.
In terms of you take every game one at a time, but Peter Wright's been quite vocal about potentially facing you down the line. How much would you love to beat him, Peter Wright?
Okay.
How much would you love to play him and beat
Who's
him
he
again?
playing next round?
Arno Merck.
Who?
Arno Merck.
I didn't know. I don't know. I love to play Peter Wright. I hope he has a big mouth as he had the last 2 weeks, because I keep smashing him in the exhibitions.
Thank you. Best of luck.
Hi, Michael. Well done on the win. You said that you hope Peter Wright had a big mouth. And one thing you did say is that he thinks your eyesight is failing a little bit, but you won't admit it. Is that the case?
If you look at my new dates here and there, I don't think there's anything wrong with my eyes. No, nothing wrong with my eyes.
No,
don't worry.
all good in the eyesight department then.
Nothing wrong with it. Don't worry. I keep getting compliments.
I mean, I think that's. I mean, a couple of points. Like, I don't know where to start that. Right? Yeah, a couple of points.
It's been a tough year for him. He's
had a rough year. So first of all, I'm going to start at the very beginning of that interview, where and you know what? It's subtle, but by God, he's good at it. Was the moment any interviewer says the name Peter Wright, he immediately, almost on instinct, just goes, "Who? Who? And they get like from the very beginning, Peter Wright, who? Oh, yeah, he's darts player, Michael. You know, I think I'm loosely aware of him. Like it's just no, like top tier. I think, yeah. Have you seen my dates? I think my eyesight's fine. Brilliant, top work, and you know he might, whilst on the hockey, he might be far from his brilliant best, but I think he's doing an incredible job off the hockey of yeah, we like some good banter, and I'm all for that. Right, game number 8. There was another darts game tonight, folks. It was 3-0. Tomorrow, no.
Thank the Lord, it was 3-0.
Yeah, we better talk about it, even if we do it really. But thank Christ, it was 3-0. Well, you know, I'm gonna, you know, I'll throw over to you, dead, like, you know, because we're gonna go do this quick, Dave, because I think it went the way we thought it would do. You know, again, we've got established professional who has been on the up of, you know, in recent times. Krzysztof Ratajski, you know, again, looked a few years ago like a player that really, like, you know, really had something. And then we've just seen, you know, we saw at the Players' Championships just a little bit of something of that game coming back and a bit of consistency. And, you know, it could start to, it could get him on an upward trajectory, but I just think this game was really a professional darts player against a qualifier, and it just sort of went that way, didn't it?
This was performance of the entire day for me. It was hard to, you know, it was the last match of the day. It's against Toilo, so it's hard to find any rhythm. I know that's a big part of darts, and just for me, eye test watching. But I look at the numbers: 90, almost a 98 average. 9 for 18 on doubles, had a 170 in there. Toilo was never even close to end this match. And I know it was probably buoyed by Ratajski's standard, but 91 average, you know, he missed some doubles, but I didn't think Toilo was like dreadful. Ratajski was just, couldn't grab onto his ankles. Toilo couldn't, you know, hang with him. So yeah, performance of the day, and him versus Joyce in the next round, man, that's a really fun second round matchup. That could be, that could be a 5-setter. That could be really entertaining because you just know they're both going to show up. Neither of them really have a bad game in them, and we saw that from Ratajski. So yeah, job well done, and yeah, professional performance.
Yeah, Carwin, Ratajski, just quickly on him. We saw this. It was 2021. We saw, you know, 2 semi-finals, 3 quarterfinals. You know, and he did look like a player that was gonna. So really, you know, and no, I don't even mean, you know, we've talked earlier about, you know, breaching the top 60. I mean, he looked like a top 10 player for the next 10 years. You know, he looked like he was there, and it's just slipped away a little bit. Are you seeing the, you know, the trajectory on the way back towards that? Do you think it's still in him, that game, to get there, or is there too much competition now?
I think the problem for Ratajski is I don't think his game's dropped. I think everybody around him's games improved. He sort of maintained that mid-90s average, I'd say, pretty much since 2021. What he hasn't been able to do is raise it to a 98 to 102 average, which is what you're seeing from a lot of players now, is that 95 is the lower end of their top game, where I feel like Ratajski doesn't get that 100-plus average often enough to make inroads. As in, he's definitely a top 32 player. And what he did today was right thing at the right time. And when it comes to him with Ryan Joyce, I think you'll have very similar styles, business-like, solid on the doubles, big scoring, as in they'll probably stick it on the afternoon because there's no entertainment there. But from a darting perspective, I think it'll be a very, very good game.
Right then. Sometimes on the Fallout Bar, we're lucky enough to say, on to tomorrow. Not today, folks. We are less than 12 hours away from these games now. We've gone that late tonight. 8 and 8 is hard work. Bloody hell. Like 4 is amazing, but 8 and 8, good God, stuff.
It was lovely last night. Only 4 to review. Done.
Yeah, 4 to do, 4 to speak. No, not today. Right, we are gonna rapidly. I'm gonna keep this to within an hour and a half. That's my target. So we're gonna rapidly bounce through 8 games of predictions for tomorrow in the chat room. And I know we're bouncing the chat room tonight. There's an awful lot of people in there. So get your predictions in early. Opening game tomorrow is Kevin Doots against Matthew Dennant. Carwyn, I will come to you first for your prediction for the opening game.
Now, obviously, this game has one eye on somebody trying to close the gap to Mr. Robert Owen, but it doesn't happen. Kevin becomes an honorary Welshman for a couple of hours tomorrow, and he wins 3-1 against Matt Dennant.
One moment.
Yeah, we can't. Yeah, we want that to turn green when we know he's safe. Then the red can go, green comes in. But yeah, I think
yes, we're converting that into a green image. So you're backing it, and I think I might be with you. But Dave, I'll come to you first for your prediction for Kevin Doots against.
I am gonna go. I'm gonna have to disagree and go with Denon. I'm going to go 3-2. I'm not incredibly impressed with what Kevin Doots has done. I thought he would kick on after last year's run, beating Michael Smith. I believe he got to the last 16. I haven't been totally inspired. I don't think the gap between these two is maybe as big as we might think, just on, name merit. Obviously, Doots is a name you probably, or at least I've seen a lot more often. But Matthew Dennant, the parts of him that I've seen, I think he has enough to pull off an upset here. So I'll go 3-2.
I'm going to disagree just because the romanticist in me is and I know that Kevin Doots has had a crap year. And like you, Dave, I thought that run that he had on this stage last year, I thought that would be a catalyst to really kick on in his career and kick him, push him up to the next level. And it hasn't happened. But I do think he has fond memories on that stage. I think he has, winning can be a habit, and I think he's familiar with a win on that stage, and that's a tough thing. There's not many players that turn up to this tournament with a winning record on that stage. They've won more games than they've lost, and for that reason, I'm going to go Kevin Doots winning 3-1. In the chat room, let's have a little look. Jarlath Eaton got in first. Jar's in the chat. Good evening, mate. He's gone Kevin Doots winning 3-0. All boxed up, Doots winning 3-1. The video Smurf, Doots 3-2. It's a fairly heavy Doots in the chat room. Kay has gone Doots 3-2. Paul Dennant 3-2. James has gone 3-1 to Kevin Doots. Hawkeye, lovely nickname that. I quite like that. A bit of a Marvel reference. Dan Lucas has gone Doots winning 3-1. Bobsy's 3-1 Doots, as has Paddy. Bob has gone Dennant winning 3-2. So we have got a bit of a split in the chat room. Murdy has gone Doots 3-2 as well. So second game tomorrow, C's. And again, we've seen a player that struggled on tour against a qualifier. So Ryan Meikle against Jesus Salate. Dave, I'm going to come to you first with this one. See what you think is going to happen here.
I guess I just want a fun afternoon. I'm going to go another upset here. I think Jesus Salate, his average, we've talked about this in the first round. I think it's easy to forget when we're watching, the Premier League and all these majors, that it can really not paint the full story if your opponent isn't meeting you at those moments. And he is pumping in He has a 90 here. He has some high 80s in recent matches. And just to give you the last 5 opponents he's played, 69, 72, 77, 73, 63. Those are good averages against that level of play because they're just not quite meeting. I mean, you're almost on your own. You're not losing many legs where you're not getting at doubles, which can help your average a lot of the time. So I'm going to go 3-2 upset here. Mikkel has just been a little underwhelming. Again, it's kind of a similar story where played so well against Littler last year. You thought that would maybe kick him on. It just hasn't quite happened. I'm like scared of qualifiers now because of how well they played today and throughout the tournament. So I'll go Salate 3-2.
Carmen?
I feel like Mikkel is often unlucky when it comes to draws on playing on television, and I think this one is one he should relish and look forward to because he probably doesn't get qualified that often. Based on what Dave said there about Salate's averages and what he's playing against, I just wonder, can he maintain that average if Mikkel throws something mid to high 80s back at him? And obviously the pressure, big game on Sky, big stage, big crowd behind him. Yes, as somebody's mentioned, I think Jazz mentioned in the chat, crowd will get on Mikkel's back. I just think, I think he gets over the line. I think it's one of those where there could be lags in sets, but I think it's 3-1 in sets to Ryan Mikkel. But I think 2 or 3 of them could go the distance.
So we've mentioned there about Mikkel playing Littler last year. If in the last 3 years, he's been knocked out by players with a combined total of 8 World Championships. He has been deeply unlucky in the players that he has had to play. And because, like I say, in 3 years, he's got 8 world titles coming against him. And I think, I honestly think that he's one of the few card PDC players that takes advantage of playing a qualifier, and he's had his ass handed to him in the last few years because he's bumped into Luke Littler at his absolute best. He's bumped into a few Barney, and he's bumped into Peter Wright when they were better than they are now, closer to their best than they are, and I just think he takes advantage of that, and I think it's a 3-1 Mikkel win because I just think his mean average is better than what I think will be produced by Salate. Let's have a quick look in the chat room to see where we're at. I'm just having a look who got in first. Paul, I think, was in first with a Mikkel 3-0. Paddy has gone 3-1. Mikkel, as has Dan Lucas, gone the same. All boxed up is Mikkel winning 3-0. Bob has gone 3-0 Ryan Mikkel. Very heavy Mikkel in here. Not too many upsets. Jarlath, he's gone Mikkel winning 3-2, but the crowd on his back. Paul's gone the Barber. Ryan Mikkel 3-1. Murdy's gone 3-2. And he's right. Jar says Barber give a close shave. James, I missed you. Did you get in first? Sorry, mate. Right, yeah, I did. Sorry. You did point that out. Yeah, he's gone the Barber. So he's going with Ryan Mikkel winning 3-1. I completely agree with you, James. I think you're absolutely on the money. Game number 3, tomorrow afternoon. And, I mean, Darwin, it's your turn first, but I'm not going to come to you this time. I'm going to go straight to Dave because we've got an American involved, and I think that it's only fair that we give him the opportunity to say this is an odd game, isn't it? I'm not being funny, but there are exhibitions, and I don't know. I can't decide if this game was an exhibition whether or not I'd pay £1,000 to be in a VIP seat, or if it was being played on my front garden, I wouldn't open the curtains. I genuinely can't decide what I feel about this game. But Dave, as your countryman's in it, I'm going to come to you first. Leonard Gates and Mickey Mansell.
I don't want to pick a third upset, but broken clock's right twice a day, so I think I have to. No, yeah, Leonard's it's incredible. I believe he's in his 50s, and he's been playing for a long, long time, and he still has that level and that gear. He missed, for anyone unaware, I can't remember what the name of it. I think it was the Continental Cup to qualify for the Slam. Spellman, I believe, dodged like 3 or 4 match darts from Leonard Gates in like the quarterfinal. But so Leonard's he's still got his game. He's still bossing it in the CDC. And there's been some days where he's been scary bad, like worrying, like not at the level where he was a major semifinalist last year, which is, we quickly forget. So yeah, I'll go Leonard I guess I might go 3-1 here. Yeah, I think that's where I'm going to end up. Shocking.
Carwin?
As in, for me, this is the game. If you've got something to do tomorrow afternoon, you watch the first set, you disappear for an hour and a half, and you come back and watch the 5th set. I just feel like it's a 5-set thriller, but at the same time, if it's over at 3-0, it wouldn't surprise me. This is probably the hardest game of the tournament so far to come up with a semi-predictable prediction, because I think everything and anything is possible. I do fancy the upset myself as well here, because I think Mickey Mansell will over-expect, is that even a right phrase? Sorry, second language here now. I'm thinking. He'll expect more than he probably produces, and he'll expect a better run than he gets. And Gates wins 3-2 in extra time. I think it is a long one, but I'm not saying it's great, but it's a long one.
Tell you what, folks, it's rare that I recommend that you get to our sponsors, Paddy Power, and back something. And the reason is, it's very rare that when there's 3 of us on the show, we all come to an agreement. But yeah, I've been fortunate enough to spend a few like interesting times behind the stage, behind the curtain at darts events. And quite a few of them have been with Leonard Gates. And I've seen the man literally woken up and shaken awake to walk to the hockey and then produce something absurd. Like it just seems there doesn't seem to be any rules for Leonard Gates. Now that could mean that he turns up and throws an absolute stinker, but it also means that like when all of the situation seems to be against him, and he's sort of missed a flight and hasn't had anything to eat, and hasn't done this, and has slept in a chair and done it. All of a sudden, he can walk to an hockey and just start like destroying people. For that reason, I find it very difficult unless he's playing, a big name, to not have a cheeky little go at Leonard Gates. So I think it goes the distance. It's a 3-2, but I think it's a 3-2 Leonard Gates. Let's have a look in the chat room. Let's have a try and scan to see who got in first. I think it was all boxed up with a Mansell 3-2 victory. Jar has gone. Mansell's over practicing. Gates 3-1 winner. Bobsy's 3-1 to Gates as well. Kay's gone 3-1 Gates. More Gates in the chat room than I thought we would get. James has gone Mansell winning 3-1 Gates miscount. I think we're guaranteed we're going to see Leonard Gates miscount at some point in the game. That's a banker. If your bookmaker offers you better than evens for that, take it. Paul's gone 3-1 Mickey Mansell. Video Smurf has gone 3-2 Mickey Mansell. Paddy's gone 3-2 Mickey Mansell, as has Bob. Very heavy for a 3-2 Mickey Mansell victory. Dan Lucas has gone 3-1 Mickey Mansell. Yeah,
I think the last thing I'll say to also keep an eye on is Leonard Gates is one of those kind of like the Asian players we saw today. Loves the moment, gets on stage, does his dance, and that's part of his. It's not like he just turns it off when he starts playing. He's celebrating between legs and sets. So I wonder. We saw what it did to Cameron Menzies last year. I know that's Cammy, but Mickey could be feeling that at least under the surface tomorrow if that shows itself.
Game number 4 in the afternoon. I almost feel like we should all do this at the same time because it seems like a waste of time going around for us all to say the same thing. And if we're not saying the same thing, I'm worried for you, and I think you feel like I feel you need to seek help. Perhaps we should stick to that, but let's just get through this very quickly because I want to be both practical and respectful at the same time. Carwin?
3-0. Don't think she wins the leg, unfortunately.
Dave?
I was going to give her one leg. Gentlemen,
I think she might. I think Gemma Hayter might hold a leg. 9-1 Rock is about as kind as I can be. I just think let's be honest. Gemma's been shit unlucky with the draw, really unlucky. There's some absolute belting draws for players who've qualified in this World Championships. And Gemma has just been supremely unlucky to draw one of the best players on planet darts at his best when he is really targeting this event as a very, very, he wants this as a coming out party. This is solidifying his Premier League spot. And I think he starts early. I am going, just again, because for the sake of, I don't want to rub it in. And I think Gemma's done an incredible job to get there. So we're not going to line by line it through in the chat room. What I will say is we've got some incredibly positive chat room environment as ever. Everybody's getting involved and everybody in the chat room has gone Josh Rock 3-0. So we've got a clean sweep across the board, both on our little panel of pundits on the show and everywhere in the chat room as well. On to the evening session, and we see the hitter of the 9 dart finish last year, winner of the Paddy Power Big Prize, Christoph Tkachuk against William O'Connor. This has been up and down and up and down. Carwin, you can go first for the evening session. What do you think?
Well, I think Willie O'Connor wins. I'm sort of debating at the moment whether Christoph gets a set or not. I just don't know if he'll produce 3 good enough legs and Willie goes off the board for 3 legs in a set. So no, I think I'll go Willie 3-0, but potentially 5 legs in a couple of sets.
Dave?
Yeah, I'm similar boat. I think Willie has that ceiling that other guys around him in the order of merit maybe don't quite possess. And I think we could see some of that. I like what I've seen from him lately. I'll go 3-0 here. I think he's convincing and he seems like he has a little bit of hunger back.
Right. So I'm still gonna pick Willie O'Connor to win, but I'm gonna pick him 3-2 by the skin of his teeth because I've seen too much of him and I watched it so I've been a big fan of Willie O'Connor, and when I was at Minehead for the Players Championship finals, I was lucky enough to be in the press room, and there are certain players that I will come out of the press room and I'll go into the room and watch them because I want to see them in the room. I don't just want to see them on the screen while I'm doing updates. Willie O'Connor is one of those players that I came out and wanted to be in the room and watch, and I really like the guy and I want to see him do well, and it was really underwhelming. And another first round exit, and then you start to look at the record and you think there's a lot of first round exits. There's too many of them. I think he'll probably have too much for Christoph tomorrow, but I don't think it's comfortable. I think it's a 3-2, which is so. I'm going to go 3-2, Willie. In the chat, All Boxed Up is getting in early regularly. He's sort of my benchmark. I roll for him in the chat, and I know where to start. All Boxed Up has gone with Willie O'Connor winning 3-0. Kay has gone with the Magpie as well. 3-1 win there. Bobsy 3-0 Magpie. Jarlath Eaton 3-0 9-3. Again, lots of very, very big confidence in William O'Connor in the chat room. Bob 3-1 William O'Connor. Dan Lucas 3-1 William O'Connor. Video Smurf 3-1 William O'Connor. Paul has gone William O'Connor 3-1. Paddy's gone 3-0. Very, very, very heavy. I haven't got a Christoph Kachuk through a 9 darter. WrestleJammer 3-1 Willie O'Connor. 3-0 O'Connor. 5 legs. Kachuk. Right. Okay. Oh, this is where we get interesting, folks. Tomorrow. Your turn to go first, Dave. So you're gonna lead. You're gonna lead on this one.
Oh no!
But Bo Greaves and you know we saw the draw, and let's be honest, you know everyone that's a darts fan saw the draw, looked at it, and went, "Oh, what do we think?" Bo Greaves and Daryl Gurney.
You know, I've seen a little bit out of Daryl in the back half of this year that I'm surprised. I wasn't sure he had that left. A little bit in the tank. I was really excited to back Bo in the first round. I think everyone is. Everyone wants to see her. This is the first time, probably in a while, where we've had, or maybe ever, a woman at the Worlds where she could make a deep run. It would not surprise us at all. I have to go Daryl. He's been playing well, a little bit more experience. I believe he's the underdog, which is incredible. But I
think our sponsors, Paddy Power, make him the underdog. I think he definitely does.
I'm gonna take the bait. I'll take him to win 3-1. I think he might have just a little too much.
Alan.
Yeah, I think I'm pretty much with Dave. I think Gemma's had a horrible draw in Josh Rock, and I think this is just as much of a horrible draw, but I think it's a horrible draw for both players. I think both of them would have preferred an easier first round. I just think Daryl's playing too well at the moment, and he's got that grit back, that sort of snarl reaction when he does something good on the hockey. And I think he wins. 3-1. I think. Sorry to be boring, but I think he wins quite comfortably 3-1.
So this World Championships, into the draw went 5 Belgians and 5 women. We've lost 5 Belgians, and I think by the time this game comes, we'll have lost 4 women, and there'll be 1 left. And I think the women are going to beat the Belgians. And I think they'll get one through to the second round. The biggest risk, I think, in this game is I think that any set that goes 2-all in legs, Daryl Gurney wins. But I don't think it goes that. I think Bo Greaves win 3-1. I think she turns up and does him. I really do. And I think it's a Bo Greaves 3-1 victory. In the chat room, Jonathan and Gurney 3-1. All sets go the distance away. I think he's on the same track as me, that if they go 2-all, Gurney wins them. I'm just going to go along that I don't think they'll get to 2-all. But I do agree, if any set that's 2-all, Gurney wins. Dan Lucas has got Gurney 3-1 as well. All boxed up, Gurney 3-1. Bobsy's got Gurney 3-1. Kay's got Gurney. Greaves 3-2. Paddy's got Bo winning 3-2. Bob's got Gurney winning 3-1. James has got Bo winning 3-2. Video Smith's got Gurney winning 3-1. It's very 50-50. We're really split in the chat room. Paul has got Gurney winning 3-0. I'm not sure about that. Murray thinks the pressure on Bo is insane. Therefore, it's a 3-1 Gurney. Into the next one as Jarlath Eaton announces he loves him some Lawrence Ilagan on a Friday night. Cowan. Game tomorrow evening is Nathan Aspinall against the great Lawrence Ilagan.
I think the Asp gets dragged into a game he shouldn't and doesn't want to get dragged into. I think he gets over the line, but it goes the distance. And I think he wins the 5th set comfortably, but I think it's an Aspinall 3-2 win.
Dave?
I will go 3-1. I think Iagin's stage experience, he's not completely foreign to moments like this. I think that's enough, maybe out of the gate, to get him a set. I mean, when you get this deep into the first round, like when was the last time Nathan played like a competitive match? It's been a bit of a long layoff. So, and you could say the same for Lawrence as well. I think just that randomness maybe plays in his favor a little bit. I'll give him the first set, and then Nathan finds his footing, and the scoring becomes too much. 3-1.
I think what astounds me every year at the World Championships, and don't get me wrong, he's become a mainstay now, Lawrence Ilagan, of the World Championship. You know, he turns up every year to Alexandra Palace, and every year people talk about, you know, his development and where he could develop and what his ceiling could be and what he could do, and he's a good player, but he could get to here. And every now and again, you have to sort of stop and think. And the man's 47. He's one of the few men in darts older than me. And I think, well, you know, I don't think he's got any more. I think he is as developed as he will ever get. Like, I genuinely believe that. I think he's a cracking player. He's a great watch. But I genuinely believe he is as developed as he will ever be. And when you look at the last few years on this stage, you know, last year, Luke Woodhouse served him up 3-0. You know, the year before, first round loss to Matt Campbell, you know, and you go back over the years, and every year you sort of think, well, you know, Ryan Murray, Cristo Reyes, Colin Osborne, you got like, they're players that, you know, yes, they will have all got him favourite, but none of them are Nathan Aspinall. And I think Nathan Aspinall does him very quick, short order. He might get 3 legs. He might get 3 holes of throw in the game. But for me, it's a very comfortable Nathan Aspinall 3-0 win. In the chat room, first person in. Come on, Dan. Dorothy and Aspinall 3-0, 9-4 in legs. Wrestle Jamia. Too late. 4. James has gone Aspinall winning 3-0. All boxed up. Aspinall 3-0. Let me have a. Oh no, I can't do a clean sweep because Wrestle Jamia Asp 3-0. Paddy's gone Asp 3-0, as has Kate as well. Dan Lucas also, but Bobsy thinks it's a 3-1, as does Video Smurf and Bob. Paul's gone Aspinall 3-2 just. And Murdy's gone Aspinall 3-0. So we've got a clean sweep in the chat room, but we haven't agreed on the score at all. And some think it's going to be much tighter than it has been. Right, the final game of the evening. I think this has been the longest fallout bar in the history of fallout bars. We've had a lot to talk about, folks. It's been a busy old day. And we have got, and I apologize. Oh, there we go. Have I got my second the screen I was looking at just died. Let me bring it over here. We've got Keen Barry and Tim Pusey. Dave, who scores it first? Dave, feels like your turn.
I am going to go an emphatic 3-0 Keen Barry. I think Tim Pusey just doesn't. I think. I just wonder. I don't know how much of a personality he has. I think going up there, he might be a little deer in headlights. Not a ton of experience on a stage like this. Not really any. So I think that might get to him. Keen Barry's been here before. I think he's still, unlike Lawrence, one of those players that's developing and is kind of getting into his own. So I'm going to take a 3-0 Keen Barry win here.
Carwin?
I think based on his performances at Ali Pali, I'm going to disagree with Dave and think we're on for an upset here. I just feel like when it's come to the Worlds, Keen Barry just hasn't shown enough to sort of warrant, I think, where his game's at, and I think he's underperformed. And I think Tim wins 3-1.
Yeah, so what I'm going to go with and I don't care if the PDC say we can't use it, the Magnet, that's his nickname. But I tell you what we saw with Simon Whitlock this week was like a battled hardened. So that ANZ Premier League was it was a really good competition. It was really good. So the Australian New Zealand Premier League was a really, really good competition. Some very, very solid players in there. You know, Raymond Smith topped the order, but then didn't win on finals night. And Tim Pusey, you know, he made his way to finals night. He got beat in the semi-final by the bloke that topped the order. And I think that those players have proved that, you know, they're sort of battle hardened. They're very, very recent, good level competition. And I think that Tim Pusey's going to bump into Keane Barry. I just don't know how much confidence Keane's going to have. And for that reason, the Magnet wins 3-2 for me. I think I'm quite confident in that. Yes, in the chat room for the last one of the night. The first one, James was in early doors. I think he was the first with Barry winning 3-1. Bobsy agrees 3-1 as well, as does All Boxed Up. Paddy as well, and Kate. They're all on the same score. Keane Barry winning 3-1. Bob has gone Barry winning 3-0. It's an outrage that they banned the nickname. It's disgusting. Dan Lucas has gone Keane Barry winning 3-1. Wrestle Jamia 3-1, 3-2 either way. I can't believe I've put that on the screen. We don't do either ways on here. You don't get on the fence, you get off it and put a pick in properly, or you'll be banned. Jonathan has gone the Magnet 3-2. Quite right, I agree. Video Smurf Barry 3-0. Murdy's gone 3-1. And I do think, big day for the Irish tomorrow. We had a big day for the Japanese today. A couple of Irish players playing tomorrow. Northern Ireland players as well. Big day for the folks just over the water from us here, Carwyn. But, folks, that is all for possibly the longest Fallout bar in the history of Fallout bars. Thank you all for your banter in the comments. In the chat room has been fantastic. Predictions, as always, fantastic. Carwyn, as ever, thank you very much for joining us. Dave, thank you very much for coming along with us from across the pond. Folks, we have been Online Darts. This has been the Fallout Bar. We will be back again, as always, tomorrow. Thank you very much for coming along and supporting us, and we will see you very soon. And good morning.
Introducing the PDC World Darts Championship.